Hi, I'm Barrie Rose, and in this podcast, I talk to content creators and advocates in the progressive space, ultimately making the world a better place. In today's episode for Autism Acceptance Month, I talked to Ravayna Coe about what it's like to be the mom of a neurodivergent kid. Enjoy. Hi, Ravayna.
Hi, Barrie. How are you, my loved friend?
I'm great. I see you as this bubbly, enthusiastic sort of mother to all. Like you have a very nurturing energy, and you're someone who makes beauty-related content, but also advocacy type stuff sometimes. So how would you describe yourself as a content creator?
Well, I think I'm one of the content creators who maybe doesn't do things the way I should. I mean, I know we've all told a million times that we need to niche down and be specific, and I don't do that. You're right. I started, I'm a beauty creator and a lifestyle creator and a style creator, and I also want desperately to talk about all the injustices that are happening in our world today, because I don't know, I'm a big believer that we can do both, Barrie. I can care very much about how good my nails look and also care that rights are being stripped away at the same time. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It can be all of those things. What got you into creating content in the first place?
I have been creating content since you were learning how to read, transparently. I feel like I've been creating content forever. And when I started, Instagram hadn't even started yet. There was no TikTok. And I started as an old school blogger for writing for Martha Stewart owned wedding website about being a real bride. And it was what I was living at that time. And I mean, I wrote a 5-episode series on choosing bridesmaids dresses. The level of detail that I had for wedding planning was excessive. Let's just keep that straight. But it was interesting for me to find something I cared about a lot and to find that there was an audience for it. And I realized that through the process of writing about wedding planning and those details, I had built a community around with other women who cared about things. And that kind of grew out from there. And when my contract writing for Wedding Bee was over, my husband was like, so wait. They've been making a lot of money off of what you've been writing for them. Why aren't you writing these things under your own title and your own byline and doing this your own self? And he was right. So I kind of started there. And my blog has been called Love Ravayna for I think 13 or 14 years now, because it just started as a place for me to collect the things I loved and the things I cared about and the things I wanted to share in a really simple way. It was it feels very old school, but it was I love this, you might love it too, let me talk about it. And we've covered places and things and shopping and routines and advocacy, because they're all the things that I love and feel strongly about.
Yeah, that makes sense to kind of do it professionally for someone else and then transition to do it for yourself, because why not?
When I was considering it, I was like, why haven't I done this already? And that absolutely is one of those things I circle back to. I can be a little shy about starting things, and I can be insecure, and being brave always seems to serve. So I'm working on being better at that.
Yeah, I mean, you seem brave. I mean, the environments that I've seen you in, you come across as brave. I mean, we originally met at Trending Up, which is for creators who want to use their platforms for social good. You were very friendly in that I felt comfortable with you right off the bat. But then I think we really met I got to know you more in Las Vegas when we did that creator activation. And that was the first time I saw your kind-heartedness. We were at that dinner the first night, and it was really high energy dinner. And there was kind of a hibachi thing. The restaurant people were pouring shots of sake and stuff like that.
Let's be honest about it. We were raging out pretty hard. It was pretty intense. There was fire. There was sake shots. There was a lot friggin' going on.
Yeah, and I don't drink, and it was a lot of stimulation. But even though I really loved the people and everything, I was just way overly stimulated. And I remember I kind of had a moment where I like started crying, and you brought me to your room and you're like, have this quiet space, whatever you need. Uh, and you even gave me this lip balm because my lips were so chapped because it was so dry. But that was a really kind thing for you to do. And I feel like you knew how to take care of a person that was going through overstimulation, with which I think is something that autistic people, some people experience a lot. So I just wanted to get into your journey as a mom, essentially.
I mean, I'm weird in a lot of ways. So let's start with that. Like, I know I'm a weirdo.
Okay.
I have always wanted to be a mom. Like, absolutely. Like, if you asked me when I was a little girl, like, people are like, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be whatever. I wanted to be a mom. That is the thing that I've probably known my entire life. So motherhood is something I always was interested in. My husband and I have been together, I guess, for well over 20 years now. We've known since we first started dating that we wanted a family. And my little boy is 6, and he is the best. Barrie, I'm getting distracted, but I have to tell you, he got Student of the Month this month for most improved, and he wore his little crown and got his balloons, and then he got nervous in the crowd and needed Dad to come on stage at the like little assembly to get his award with him. I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed because, well, that's what I do. Okay, so you wanted to talk about my motherhood journey. So I've always known I wanted to be a mom. Asher is our only. He will probably be our only for circumstance reasons. I'm 40. This world is a mess, all of the above. But mothering him is the best thing I've ever done. And I feel like it feels weird to say that when I've only done that for 6 years and I've lived 34 years of not being his mom, but it is. Like, he's the best. He brings out the best in me. And that is, I sometimes feel like that might be a lot of pressure for a little dude, but he does. He helps me to be the best version of myself. He is autistic. It's Autism Awareness Month. But honestly,
Yay.
It's Autism Awareness Month every damn day around here. Like, that is just kind of the way we live our lives. Wanting to make a better, safer, more accessible world for Asher and kids like him, all of his friends, and all of his friends that are not really like him. He is an emerging speaker. We prefer not to use the word nonverbal, and we use pre-verbal because accuracy matters. And also, I love the idea of, instead of answering no to something, answering not yet to something. I never want to close off expectations or, yeah. So that's just the phrasing I choose. So he is an emerging speaker. His favorite phrase lately that's new is a 2-word one, which is a biggie, and it's no need. He tells me no need when he wants to go do something with Dad. He tells me no need when I try to tell him he needs to take a bath. He tells me no need when I want to wash hands and he doesn't want to. So it's being appropriately used in communication, and he has his daddy's sass. So we have a sassy little boy on our hands. But that's been really fun to see some of those things start to emerge. We've been in speech therapy and occupational therapy and special need preschool and now kindergarten class. He's always been in a special ed classroom. And so we've been working really hard on lots of things for lots of time. Wow, that is a really loud guy right outside my window. Sorry.
I know how it is. I used to live in LA, and every single time I tried to film, there would be a leaf blower. It's like people need their manicured lawns.
And I'm
all
like,
the time.
you're leaf blowing on concrete, y'all. Like, what are we doing here with this?
I really liked that you said the pre-verbal, the use of words will probably come.
And like, we don't know that. Like, transparently,
Yeah.
I have no idea. My expectation is, yes, that Asher will continue to grow verbally and that he will speak, but it's something that we think about, but also something we don't really think about all that much, if that makes sense. Like, it is not my priority, at least now, it is not my priority that he speak in English words effectively. I care more about him feeling comfortable and feeling safe and having tools to communicate in whichever way that works. Sign language has not really been a hit for him, but he is he's very good at telling me exactly what he needs by taking me to it. Like, he will be like, if he wants a snack, he knows exactly where to take me for it. If he wants to go out, he takes me to the door. Like, we have communicational ability, which matters. And we've been working hard over the last year on him using an AAC, which is a screen talker. AAC means alternative or augmentative communication device. So we use a program that's called LAMP, Words for Life, and it pretty much is an iPad that only has this program on it, and it is a talker for him. So when he presses the picture or the word, it says it out loud for him, and he can string them together in a sentence. Does he? No, he mostly says yes, no, zero, and then stims with it in a way to get it to say what he wants. But that's part of the process of learning it and using it. So we're here for that. But so lots of tools and techniques to give him what he needs to communicate effectively. We'll see which ones keep clicking.
Yeah. Also love the phrase, no need. Instead of no, it does fit a lot of scenarios.
It's so effective, and I love that it allows him, his personality shines through, even with those 2 words. Like, you know his attitude, you know his sass, and I love that he manages to communicate with his feelings even when he has just limited vocabulary to use.
Yeah, he's so cute. I've seen some videos.
He's really, really cute. Like, I know I'm biased. Like, I fully recognize, like, I grew him, they cut him out of me, but I am biased. But, like, I am obsessed with him and his sweet little cheeks. And, his grin right now, he's lost 1 tooth, and he has been so, like, intrigued by it. Like, anytime we hear, like, normally you hear a kid being quiet and you're like, oh shit, what's that kid into? I hear him being quiet and I find him, like, in the mirror being like, is it still there? Is it still gone? Like, what's going on? Like, he is having way too much fun with this tooth falling out, which honestly I'm relieved by, because that was one of those things I was really kind of irrationally stressed about with. So a lot of times with autistic kids, specifically ones that are nonverbal, they struggle with losing teeth because it feels like a loss of bodily autonomy. Like, they don't have control of what's going on in their mouth. It stresses them out. And if we don't have the language capacity to, like, explain that super effectively, like, yikes a little bit. And so I was really stressed about it, and he was completely unbothered about it. He swallowed his first tooth and has just been merrily rocking him away. As a parent of a neurodiverse kid, my husband and I have talked about this. I feel like I over prepare a lot because I want to have the tools I need when the situation happens. So it's like a best case scenario for me if I have totally, like, over prepared and stressed and planned, and we don't need any of those plans, and he's totally chill, and I'm like, I'll take it. Like, in an ideal world, I would rather not do all the excess work, let's be straight, but I'd much rather have all of that prep done so that I feel comfortable of how I'm parenting the situation. And then when I'm like, oh, well, he's totally fine, I'm like, cool, Ravayna, you overreacted. That's an all right way to be.
Yeah, it's definitely better to over-prepared instead of under-prepare. What's your astrological sign?
I'm a Gemini on the Taurian cusp.
Oh, yes, I do think I remember that. When did you find out that he was neurodivergent?
When I found out when we got the call from, like, the assessment place. But did I know already? Yeah, I did. Like, looking at it now, 3 or 4 years later, it's one of those things where I'm like, how the fuck did I miss this? Like, it is crystal clear that I am ADHD as all get out. My husband is also autistic. Of course my child is going to be neurodiverse. Like, duh, Ravayna. Like, duh. But they say hindsight is 20/20, and in this case it totally is. What I remember is being really stressed that other friends' kids were starting to babble and he wasn't at all. And then at his 18-month doctor appointment, I mentioned it to his pediatrician, and his pediatrician was like, man, no need to worry. Boys talk late all the time. And I was kind of like, yeah, that might be, but I'm going to worry because I'm a mom and that's my job. And transparently, I fired that pediatrician and got a new one because I didn't agree with him. And you know what? I was right. It was not nothing. Thank you very much. But what in California, we've got something that's called the Lanterman Act, which means that for early childhood intervention is free before the age of 3. So within the community, the idea behind access to resources for a situation like this is kind of like take him to early intervention. It's free. The worst that happens is they tell you that he doesn't need anything or that it's unnecessary or he ages out of it, but it can't hurt. It can only help. And that's kind of how I felt about the situation. So right at 18 months, this was weird because this was just when COVID was starting. Like we had his assessment done at home like the week before stuff started closing down. So for the first like 6 months to a year, it was speech and OT virtually. There are lots of things that we have done that have not been so helpful. And that is probably the top of the list and not being all that helpful because it was like we were trying to hold an 18-month-old to hang out next to a screen with a person who he'd never met in person before. Like, yikes. But it did give us at least an opportunity to know that there were resources out there for us and that they would be helpful for Asher. So he did, as soon as there was access to in-person resources, he started going to like a little speech delayed kids play group is I guess the best way that I can put it. It was a social skills group. And we've done that in speech, like I said, in OT. We haven't done ABA because we're not super comfortable with some of the tenets behind it. But we've done lots of resources and lots of tools to help him. I kind of think that that's my job as his mom, to give him, to kind of call through the opportunities of things that can help him and figure out what might serve him and give those things a good old college try. So we do that.
Yeah, he's so lucky to have parents that are so attentive to these things and also be in a world like I feel like these days there's so much more awareness around these things. I feel like when I was growing up, I don't think there was as much. There definitely wasn't as much.
It wasn't verboten. It wasn't like you didn't talk about it, but it wasn't a part of people's everyday conversations. That was like, it was something talked about in quiet or as if there was something to be ashamed of. And like, none of those things are true. So that's something that I feel really strongly about. Like, not just when it comes to Asher and his autism or myself and my ADHD, I think we really set ourselves up for best success in this world if we are honest about what things we can mitigate to make our lives easier and what things will help us and what support needs we have. And so I just try to own that because you're totally right. Like I always say that like Asher has been an incredible lesson for me in that he has called out all of the internalized ableism that I didn't even realize that I had just by growing up in America in this millennium. And that has been like, I have absolutely changed my vocabulary as I've learned more. I've become more understanding and I kind of that has been really good for me. So I hope that other people see that and also recognize that there is a lot of growth in the process for everyone. But as you said, it's really true that it's different than it used to be. Like I had a conversation with one of my friends who's also the parent to a neurodiverse kid. And we were talking about how honestly that our kids 50 or 60 years ago might not have been at home with us, that they might that they had significant enough support needs that in history that might have been cause for them to be removed from our home. And like, that's the kind of thing that both intermittently makes me want to throw up and throw fists. Like my body, like at the I am like about it, but also I also try to remember that you only know what you don't know. And that 60 and 70 years ago, parents didn't have resources, they didn't have teams, they didn't have fellowships, they didn't have the books that I've read, the YouTubes I've watched. The information wasn't really out there. So I'm careful to give grace when I think about situations like that because we've all had a lot of learning to do.
Yes, a lot of what you're saying was giving me chills. I mean, recognizing your own support needs, like being open and honest with that. I feel like I'm still learning those because I'm still having, and I know I'm neurodivergent in some way, but I've never taken the assessment of like the autism assessment because I was Like I had a certain association of like what it looked like. But then I started meeting, okay, like I worked for this organization in LA that it's called Spec Labs, and you know Spec
I know
Labs?
of it.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, my friend started it, and basically it helps like young people around like 18 and up, but focus on like music and art and acting. And I was working there helping teach people how to write songs and whatnot. So everyone there that went there was on the spectrum. And then I started getting asked like if I was too. And then I was like, I don't think so. I mean, but I don't know. And then I started to think maybe it's possible because it is such a spectrum and I've related so deeply to a lot of things. And then I dated someone who she was sure I was on the spectrum, and she made me take these online assessments, and it was like highly probable. But I didn't take the actual real assessment, which I've heard it's kind of hard to take, or like you have to jump through some hoops. So I didn't even look deeply into that. But I think I've like figured out ways to cope in certain environments and still figuring that out. Like, for instance, like when I was at the DNC, I just like broke down crying because there was like so much stimulation. And I'm just realizing, okay, I need to take breaks. I need to like go to quiet environments. I like need certain routines, whatever. It's just realizing your own support needs and giving that to yourself. But then I wonder if knowing this information would like help solidify something, like if it would be helpful to know for real.
For me, it was like I got a formal ADHD diagnosis, and I have known my entire life that the way that my brain works is not the same as other people's, but it was validating, I guess is the word I want to use, to have someone be like, yeah, this is, your brain is this way because it is this way, and it's not because something is wrong with you or different about you, it just is. I would also argue, though, that my husband has not been doctor diagnosed. He's been informally diagnosed, and he knows that he is autistic. And when we talk about it, he's like, I probably will get diagnosed at some point, but at this point, I don't know what difference it would make for him, is how he feels. He's already building his support needs and setting his life up in a way. He's aware of his differences. So yeah, that his argument is, what is the purpose of having the paperwork that says this specifically? Obviously for Asher, the purpose of that is because he is autistic and pre-verbal, he has a disability act, he is considered disabled, and under the Lanterman Act, he has rights as a disabled child in school and other things. So there is a need for us to have that on paperwork. I don't know. It's one of those things that I have some friends, like I have mutual friend that we have that was recently officially diagnosed, and she texted me and was like, wait, whoa. And in my head, I was like, yeah, that totally tracks. Like I see everyone in shades of neurodivergent at this point. So it's one of those things that even if I don't think that you are neurodivergent in my own crazy head, I just see you as the person you are, and then think about what might help Barrie be her best Barrie, and whatever those support needs are, I want to help them be in the situation for you. And for me, it doesn't matter if you have a diagnosis or not. Like if you're overwhelmed, I just want you to be someplace that you're comfortable. So I don't know if I feel like you need a diagnosis, but if you feel like you need a diagnosis, then I want you to get out there and get one so that it helps you put things into the right box in your brain, I guess, is kind of how I thought about it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like that it's nice to hear that someone else, like your husband, is kind of thinking about it in the same way.
Because I would also be argued that doctors are not perfect and exams are not perfect. And especially there are lots of people who grew up with not atypical presentations of autism or another neurodiversity, and that that they went to a doctor who's like, no, you're not autistic, or yes, you are, and it turned out that that wasn't true. So that's one of those things where it's not like people will be like, oh, everyone's autistic these days, and I'm like, no, people are just recognizing it and talking about it instead of hiding in their garages. Let's not get twisted about it. All right. But it is something that if it will help you take care of yourself, then I think it's of the utmost importance. If you are on the path to taking care of yourself most effectively without that title or diagnosis or spend at the doctor's office, then I'm not sure it super matters. You know, like if you feel like it would serve you, I'm like, yes, but I'm also a big proponent of trusting your own instinct and that you know yourself and how you feel in a room with other people or alone better than some person who's meeting you for the first time.
Yeah, thanks for those insights. It's really nice that through these experiences, you've been able to learn what support looks like or how you can be best supportive for others, like in your family and beyond.
I'm still especially working on how to ask for the supports I specifically need. Like I can be like a weird martyr person and be like, nah, I'm fine until I am fully not fine, like not fine at all. And it is too late. And I have been not fine. So it's definitely in progress, but I've been able to see the difference that it makes both in who I am and my comfort level and myself. And like, it is immense the difference made in Asher's comfort level when I am able to set and hold boundaries for things that I know that set him up for success, and just how joyfully he is able to live his life. And it's, you know, it's simple things and safety things for him. Like we don't really go to parks that don't have gates because we don't want a chance for him to elope or things like that. But just thinking through the things that set him up for success has become very much the way I function, I guess is the best way I can put it. And it has been useful for, as you said, not just for the way I treat him. It has made me more thoughtful about the way other people feel in our environments. And I am a very motherly person. I kind of always have been. And I want everyone to be as comfortable and to be able to be their best version of themselves. So yeah, I want to build in these support structures for everyone, because you don't need to be disabled or differently abled to benefit from support and structure in society. And we could argue that some of the problems that we have in our world today are because there's not enough support built in outside the family for people in communities. And so I just try to be the part of the village that I want to have. And that includes being really thoughtful about trying to set people up for success and make them comfortable so they can be themselves.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's anything you need to do for yourself personally? I mean, there must be things to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, there are lots of them. It's one thing that I thought was really interesting. I had a conversation with another mom of a child with significant special needs. His diagnoses are different than Asher's, which is why I'm more obscure about that. And she commented to me that she was like, I don't know how you do it. Your nails are always done, and my nails are always done. I'm a nail obsessive. And I was like, I think you misunderstand. My nails are always done because they're one of the only things that I have for me, and that are, regardless of what mayhem is around me, that doesn't really change. Like sometimes things can get hairy and Asher's pulling my ponytail out, or we're wrestling or whatever, and I cannot, or like I dress differently and wear more athleisure than I used to. But I think making sure that I do the things that make me feel like myself are important in that way. It feels like, I think at first I thought that was kind of a shallow thing to want to, like, who cares if you're wearing makeup while you're wrestling with your kid? But if having lipstick and lashes on makes me feel more like myself and more comfortable, and then I think it's an important part of me setting myself up for that. And like, yes, sometimes I swear to goodness, I put on makeup immediately for it to be wiped off of my face. And I'm just like, well, what was the point of that? But it's it winds up being like that time that I take for myself. And it does also wind up growing. Like one thing we've realized is that Asher's a sensory seeker. We've known this for a long time. But as I've gotten more weirdly obsessed with my nails, I'm trying to show you, I get like ones with 3D on them, because he will, when soothing or when he's putting himself to sleep, he will soothe on my nails. And I mean, if I can always have a stim toy on my hands for him, then that's what I'm going to do. And so like my nails look cool, but they're also functional, and I'm here for that. I also,
Wow.
I have been actively trying to, in this year, I have been spending more time working on my fitness, not because I'm turning 40, but mostly because Asher's growing. He's 6 and he still wants me to carry him and like do all these things. And I'm like, oh shit, like I can't let him outgrow my strength. Like if he outgrows what I am capable of managing, like I'm kind of screwed here. So that is something that I've been doing to set myself up for success. Like I want to be able to haul him on my hip and love him, or handle him, or do whatever I need to do with ease. So that means my ass needs to go to the gym and like pump some iron and lift some weights. So that's what I'm doing. I've got to say though, as I say this, I don't want to pretend even the least bit that like I have it all together, or I know all what I'm doing, or any of that, because that's not the case. It feels like I am doing my best. I'm trying really hard, but I'm also mostly making it up most of the time. And that's fine too. I'd argue that there's something to be said about effort. We talk a lot these days about effort and impact and intent. And I can't always get my impact right. I don't know what's going on exactly in Asher's brain. I'm not in there and he can't always tell me, but I can make a concrete effort and do my best. And that's gotta be enough. So I try real hard, and some days it doesn't work. And some days I go to bed really freaking tired and like, nothing cooperated today, but we try again tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. I feel like as an adult, I always thought adults had it figured out, but actually you just do something repeatedly for years and you figure out what works for you. I mean, I've always figured out things that work for me that are slightly different than what works for someone else, but it's whatever it is to live. But I think the belief that like I'm gonna just try my best and learn as I go is gonna always serve you, because that's all you can do.
Right? Like we talk a lot about what Asher's going to go, like my husband and I, and this is a joke, but we're dysfunctional, so fair enough. We talk a lot about, like jokingly, like what Asher's going to go to therapy for when he grows up. And one of the things I always say is he can go to therapy because mama kissed him too much and annoyed the shit out of him, but he's not going to go to therapy and wonder about if his mom and dad loved the shit out of him and did everything they could to set him up for what he needed in his life. And that one I can stand on, because I know how hard what we are trying and the efforts that we're making, and I know that like can keep me warm in my bed at night, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's about learning and about growing and stretching, I think. And for me, it like absolutely there was some levels of acceptance about it. As I was 34 when Asher was born. So I'm like kind of an older mom, not really as a Californian thing, but being from Louisiana, like my friends all had like half a dozen kids before we even started. And so I was like, wow, we're behind. And I don't know, it has been more than once it has occurred to me that I am really, really glad that we are older parents, and not necessarily that older matters, but that we spent more time kind of figuring out our independent adult shit before we came to be parents. Like I was much more insecure 10 years ago. And I don't know that I would have had the steel spine to be the kind of advocate my kid needs, because I honestly probably cared too much about what other people thought about me. And it's astounding to me how little I care about that now. And some of it is as a result of living the life, because like if Asher's melting down in public or wherever, I could not give less of a fuck what anyone else around me thinks about what I should be doing with my kid or my parenting skills, or is he too loud, or am I too whatever. No, how I don't care. At that point, all I care about is getting eye to eye with him and being sick, making him feel safe, making him feel cared for, and soothing him. And I absolutely would have 10 years ago been like, oh, are people judging me because my kid is yelling? Or, oh my gosh, my kid sometimes self-harms when he gets overwhelmed. Do they think that I can't stop him and am I a bad mom? Honestly, those things don't even really occur to me anymore. And when they do, like, I genuinely don't give a fuck. Like, if some random lady at the grocery store thinks I'm spoiling my kid because he has a screen or whatever, I'm like, cool. You don't know what an AAC is. You don't recognize that that is his voice. You think you think he's watching movies all day. I don't know you. I don't care to know you. Like that. Sorry if that's rude, but I don't. And your misguided opinion doesn't really affect me, him, or our lives any. So like, keep it pushing. And that has been like a really surprisingly hard thing for me to get on over, because I am, like I said, was all too concerned about like what people thought and what strangers thought and none of it really matters. Like what matters is the things that actually do. And yeah, the rest kind of pales in comparison sometimes.
Yes, thank you for that. That's so true. Well, thanks for being such an incredible, strong mom that is willing to let go of the things that don't actually matter and focus on what does.
I'm trying. I get it wrong a lot. Let's not get it twisted, but I know that the best thing I can do for my boy is to give him a sense of belonging and a sense of comfort. And if I can do that here at home, he'll be able to take that with him wherever he goes and whatever he does. So that's kind of why that's my priority.
Yes, I think we all want that.
Right? Seems simple when you put it that way.
Is there anything you want to close out with or share?
If there's anything that I would like to share, especially as we, like this is Autism Awareness Month, and people are talking in ways that they don't often, which good or bad, that's neither here nor there. I think it's important, especially with some of what's coming out of Washington and the Department of Health and Social Services, that we talk about the fact that autism is not a disease. It's a neurotype. It does not need fixing. It does not need to be cured. It needs research and support and access. That's what it needs. And I think that it is really important that we continue that all of the good work and progress that has happened in social change over like the generation that you and I have lived, that we've been talking about, is not undone by idiots in the White House. So I think it is more important than ever that we are setting the example as communities to be inclusive and welcoming of diversity in all of its forms.
Love that. Yeah, so much of what you said kind of made me like tear up because it's so heartfelt and passionate and so real.
I love my boy, and I won't pretend that parenting looks the way I thought it would, because it doesn't. Not at all. Like, not even a little bit. But he is the best of me, and it is such a privilege to get to help make a world that I want for him. Yeah, that's a privilege of mine. I'm grateful for it. And see, I'm crying too. But I am a crier. I cry all the time.
Me too. Can you just share your handles just so everyone can follow you, see what you're up to?
My name is Ravayna, and so that's my handle on everything. It's Ravayna. I'm Ravayna Coe on TikTok. My blog is Love Ravayna, and I offer one-to-one style and fashion and beauty consultations through there too. So anytime you want to find me, just come on over to my corner of the internet and we can talk everything from occupational therapy to eyeliner, you know?
Amazing. Yeah, one of these days I want to go get a beauty consultation.
Well, if you want to do one when we're in DC in person, say so. The fun we would have.
Yeah, I mean, as a non-binary person, like for a long time I didn't wear makeup, even though I feel like I actually do like makeup, and sometimes my gender expression goes more towards like, yeah, I do want to 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 wear makeup and like look nice in that way, but not always. But anyway, but I have no idea how to put on makeup. It like always looks weird.
Friend, you are speaking my language. Because I get that. Like, there is absolutely there is a section of makeup where you're like, this is about wanting to polish my appearance but not be more feminine. That's not what it's about. It's about just being exactly who you are. And that's totally fair. And there's also the idea of like, who decided what was feminine? Like, real talk. Who decided that eyeliner was feminine? Because I don't know. I think I don't wear much eyeliner, and I think it looks better on guys than it does on girls. Like, it's one of those things that I like to play around with. But yeah, it's know where to find me anytime you want. It would be my pleasure and my privilege.
Okay, I'll take you up on that. Thank you.
I love you. Be good. Take care of yourself. Have a good day.
Love you dearly. Thank you for watching or listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. It really helps. Love you dearly. Thank you.